So I guess the message I had for the players is the real challenge now. I know school started today, and it's kind of the dog days of camp now when you get this deep into it. Still, pretty long ways until you play a game, but still a lot of things to work on. Is you got to challenge yourself to be what you want to see. Take ownership for what you want to accomplish, what you want to do. And I think the big thing is for players to develop the habits to stack good performances, play in, play out, day in, day out, because that's what's going to really allow us to have the consistency, in performance we, need throughout the season. So it's like, what are you willing to do for the people around you? Because you're responsible to do your job, but you're also responsible for them. But I guess a better question is what are they willing to do for you? Because they have the kind of respect and trust in you to know that you're going to go out there and do what you're supposed to do, down in, down out, play in, play out, game in, game out. So we obviously have things that we need to improve on. The big focus this week is take where we were last week, from a scrimmage standpoint, from a conditioning standpoint, from a focus standpoint, from an effort, ability to execute standpoint, and try to improve on it so that, this next scrimmage is sort of the last dress rehearsal, so to speak, until the first game comes. So it's really important that we can go out there and sort of do the things that we need to do more game-like, because that's going to be the last time we get an opportunity to do at least that part of it. So not disappointed in where we are at all, not satisfied where we are either. But, think that, people are trying to do the things they need to do to get where we want to go.
Start up here, Charlie.
Just with Tyler Steen coming in, what have you seen from him so far, progress-wise, and how's he adjusted to life here?
I think Tyler's got a lot of ability. I think that, all the new players that come in, it's a little different culture here. They all have to sort of buy into the culture of how we do things, what we do, not easily satisfied with what we do and how we do it, and to challenge yourself to be the best that you can be on every play. And I think that's the question that I would have for a lot of different players. But, Tyler is certainly showing a lot of ability. He's made really good progress. He's a bright guy. But consistency and performance is something that we're really focused on. And that will create tremendous value for him. We want what's best for all the players. I don't see how any player could ever think that anything that we do is not in their best interest to try to help them be the best version of themselves. They may not like it, just like, sometimes when I was a kid, I didn't like what my parents made me do. I didn't like it when my dad made me wash the car over because I didn't do it correctly. I didn't like that, but it made me better. So we all got to go through that to some degree.
Sit front here, Jake.
You talked about inconsistency with the receivers after the scrimmage. How have you seen those guys respond since Saturday?
They're doing a good job. I think they learn from their mistakes. And hey, nobody wants to be inconsistent. They're working hard. There's a lot of young guys there. There's a lot of guys that don't have a lot of experience. There's a lot of guys that haven't been in the system. So, and we have quite a bit of volume of information right now, maybe more than we'd ever have for a game plan, because you install a lot, you expose the players to a lot. So for those kind of guys, that's even more challenging. So, but they've made improvement and they'll continue to make improvement. I think it takes a little longer for that part of the game, especially when you have new players, to try to develop the precision that you need. But I think those guys are getting more and more consistent every day.
Hey, Coach. So far, all the players we talked to this fall camp have had a really strong emphasis on leadership. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective as a head coach, what have you seen in terms of leadership from the players, specifically in the last scrimmage as well?
I do think that we have some really positive leadership on this team. I've talked about this before. We have some really good leaders, but there's two parts of leadership. There's players who lead, and we have some really good players doing that. But there's also players that have to learn how to respond to leadership. That means they take ownership for doing what the leaders ask them to do. And yeah, that's something that, everybody's got to make a decision and a commitment that they're willing to do, to take ownership for, doing that. So there's one thing to command things, but there's another thing to take ownership for it yourself, so that you can buy into what people are asking you to do. A really simple example, I guess I would be considered a leader, but when I say run to the next drill and everybody continues to walk, am I being a bad leader, or are they not responding to leadership? That's the question. All right. So we have good leadership, but people have to learn to respond to it and take ownership for the standard and the level the leadership has an expectation for them to aspire to.
Just what have you seen from Javion Cohen in terms of some of the mental health treatment that he shared he received this offseason, as well as what you've seen from him on the football field in camp?
Well, we've done everything we can, and we will continue to do everything we can to help all of our players across the board whenever they have any kind of mental health issues of any sort. I think we've been, one of the programs that have, had this for a long, long time. And we've only tried to develop it and make it better. I don't think that's really a question for me to answer. I know we're doing everything we can to help him every way that we can. How he feels this is helping him, I think, is probably something that he needs to answer. I'm not disappointed in his performance. I'm just disappointed in the way he's going about his work. But I still, that's not for me to answer exactly, how someone feels about the treatment and what has helped them get better. And I see him being very good, but that's just what I see. I don't know how he feels.
Come back here to Tony and then Charlie.
How much progress have you seen in Eli Ricks' ability to pick up the defense? And then how optimistic are you that he could be an impact player this year?
Well, he hasn't been able to practice since the scrimmage. So he's got a little, back problem. That's not, I don't think it's anything that's going to keep him out for a long time. So, until he gets out there on the field and he continue to make progress, I can't really comment on that. I was not disappointed in the way he played in the scrimmage. I think there's a lot of competition at that position, and I can't tell you, who would be the starting corners at this point.
As the defensive line, you have some seniors coming back, but what have you seen from the guys providing depth there and how they've come along?
Like who? Jaheim Otis has done a really good job. I think Tim Smith has done a really good job. He's, a guy that's, been out there playing. I think, the strength of that group is probably the numbers. We have some decent depth. We got to keep developing guys to be able to play with a little more consistency. We've got some good pass rushers, but they're mostly the outside backer type guys. We got to do a better job of, pushing the pocket inside. But I'm like, that group works hard, and we have some experience, but we also have some young guys that I think can add to the depth and make a contribution.
Okay, we'll go to Seth on Zoom. Seth, you can go ahead and mute.
Hey, Nick, got kind of a offbeat question for a feature on coaches' radio call-in shows. You're one of a dwindling few that still takes calls. And I was just curious why out of it, why you think it's important to do that. And also, I guess you may be the only one I know that has regular media guest hosts. Why do you do that too?
Well, I think that most of you all, including the person asking the question, sort of think I'm not approachable. And I don't think that's the case at all. So one of the things that I've always found the radio show to give me an opportunity to do is to allow people to approach me and see how approachable I am. So we let people at the venue ask questions. We let call-in people ask questions. I think it's it's a good thing for me to, see some of the media people that are actually host on the show. I get to know them a little bit better. They see a little different side of me. I see a little different side of them. So I think it's nothing but, sort of an opportunity to build positive relationships. And, sometimes you get a bad call, but sometimes we deserve a bad call. I mean, sometimes I don't think we did very well either. So why should somebody out there not think we did something very well? So I'm not offended by people who call in. I think it's an opportunity for them to approach me and me to have respect for them and how they support the program.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time.
That's it.
That's it.
So I get to say thank you and smile again.
Exactly.
I'm loving it.